Good evening and welcome to Friday night's Fools Rush In, on a night where, on my travels down here, I got told that all I do for a job is sit behind a desk, my son is not paying for me to go to an old people's home, and I need to find a woman with lots of money so that they can take care of me. That and so much more to discuss on tonight's Fools Rush In. But before that, let's roll the titles.
Take my take my whole life too, but I can't help falling in love with you.
And let's start by saying hello to Good Evening's panel, starting with the man who was not happy didn't get a message specifically to him telling him that I might be running a few minutes late. Evening, Woody.
Still disappointed, Fyfie. I could have had plans between 9 and 9:15.
You certainly won't be the first person or the last person I disappoint in life, so...
That's fine. I'm going to give you a little bit of sympathy because somebody told you don't work very hard because you work behind the desk. As somebody else who works behind the desk, the only thing that tends to work hard is my mouth whilst I'm eating at my desk. But hey, work hard in school, get a desk job.
Indeed, that's exactly it. Aim high, kids. Next up, let's talk to someone who definitely worked very hard in his younger years so that he didn't have to work hard at all in his elder years. Evening, Nick.
Evening, Fyfie. Fyfie, don't you worry about going into old people's home. I'm a lot fucking closer than you are, so I shouldn't worry about that, man.
Yeah, but are your kids willing to pay the bill for it? That's the question.
Oh, no. I don't think so. They can see it. Look, where is it? They can see it going out of there. £5 a week? Whoa.
I don't know what you're on about, Nick. We won't be able to retire in a pension because we won't have any state pension by the time we get that age.
Well,
that's
true. It'll be a tent at the end of the garden.
Yeah.
This is a party political broadcast by Fools Rush In.
Of the house that I probably bought.
Next up, let's say hello and good evening to a man who looks like his boiler's packed in because he's wrapped up like it's the middle of winter. Evening, Ben.
Evening, Fyfie. How are we all today?
Very well. How are you? You looking joyous?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, no, look. The reason for that, it's been cold all day, and I've been working, and I'm also tight, so I didn't put the heating on. And now, if I take it off, my head's going to be really, really cold. So I'm just going to keep it on now. The heating is on. See, the heating, my head's still cold, so I'm just going to leave this on now.
Who shall we say hello to next? Someone who's never cold. Evening, Wazza.
Oh, never cold. The beard keeps me warm. I wonder what show I was coming on to tonight with this going on just a minute ago. I was thinking, what is this? I thought it was going to be question time.
Question time with Woody and Nick would be class.
That would be good.
But yes, I'm very good. I hope everyone's well and looking forward to a good show.
Yes, and nothing says good show like adding a certain layer of sauce. Good evening, Craig.
Good evening, Fyfie. I'm feeling very saucy tonight. I also would like to point out that I work behind a desk, all right, albeit a different desk to most of you, but I also get accused of not working hard, but for different reasons, obviously. So, but yeah, looking forward to tonight. Can I also say that Ben looks like the person who mugged me one night many, many years ago? Yeah, I'm a little bit. I'm getting flashbacks at the moment. So.
No, Rich has got it bang on with his comment. Even I said that off air. Looks like Joe Pesci from Home Alone.
Craig, is your desk the one that moves along a line sometimes?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
sometimes.
Just forwards and backwards. That's it. That's all we do apparently.
Only when he wants it to bloody move.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And when he does, it coincidentally rains.
Yeah, that's it. It was the wrong type of rain today. That's what it was. So there we go.
Wrong type of rain. Do you know what? Fair play to you, Craig, because you get some shit for your chosen occupation, and it's all taken in good humour.
It is, mate. There's worse jobs out there, trust me. So yeah.
Have I switched on Last of the Summer Wine? Asks Mike.
There's some winter
Nick's
wine.
on the last of his wine, that's for sure.
Last of the summer wine.
Oh, no, not this again. I think before Ben entertains the nation with his theme tunes from comedies past, we should get straight into the conversation. As Claire said, she's been very busy this week, so not had chance to really see any STFC content, so relying on us to bring her up to speed. So where do we start? Well, we actually have the men's team actually have a game tomorrow. It seems like ages since we've spoken about a game. Most of Fools Rush In will be in attendance. Woody, you'll be there. What are you expecting from the game?
Well, apparently there's a certain someone making their return. So
yes, I'm here. Hi.
Yeah, well, that's what I was referring to. Was everybody else thinking talking to SF88 is the hashtag that's going out. Yeah, what am I expecting? Do you know what I was thinking? Like, there's a lot of build up for Charlie's return. I've just got a horrible feeling that he's not going to play very well when he does come on if he's starting. But hopefully, given what I assume is going to be a bumper crowd, it'll be a decent atmosphere. Grimsby don't play bad football, really. They're one of those that I think Craig and I both alluded to the other day, that League Two aren't really full of who-fit teams anymore, really. There's a bit of more of a mixture now. And I think Grimsby would have been one of those that were kind of in that category originally, but now they play some decent stuff. But I think that I do wonder, although sometimes the occasion can get to you, I do wonder if tomorrow we could have just a general good feeling around, and I think we will win it by a couple of goals tomorrow, whether Charlie scores them or not. I just, sometimes when you have such a busy week in terms of focus, and you hear Gunning coming out, and of course he's going to say the players are fully focused on the game, etc. But even hearing from some of the players, you just get the vibe that they are just going to go out and do the business on Saturday. I am pretty confident. And you know what will happen? Gunning will win the game, and then all of a sudden he'll be bloody bookies' favourites or something to take over as manager. That's probably the other reason I think he's gonna win, because that's just the way things pan out nowadays when you're a Swindon fan. But yeah, I am confident, but I'm more confident because Grimsby will play football. And we all know, regardless of what we thought of Lindsay, any side that tried to play football with us tend to lose. So it's I'm kind of going to rely on that theory a little bit.
There are a couple of things we're going to sort of come to later in the show, but I do want to read these out before I lose them. So Paddy's got in touch early doors tonight. Just realised the format on the screen looks like an edition of Blankety Blank. So here goes. Nick is so good on FRI, he should win awards. He says that when he does, he'll come on the show, get out and polish his blank.
Am I supposed to answer that, Fyfie?
You can all have a go at filling in the
write
blank.
this down and just have
Okay.
someone.
His wig.
I will polish my replica League Two medal.
Okay, very nice. Wazza?
His empty bottle of wine.
Woody?
His extended belt buckle.
And Ben?
Todger.
Oh,
It's
Ben!
eventually.
Behave.
You've always got
Ben
to
to
go.
drag it through the gutter. I would say his Ocus Road sign.
Yes.
Nice,
Yeah.
Craig.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Mike's joined in. Spectacles. There you go.
Oh, Mike's so posh.
You can't say anything when you admitted to what you do at Christmas.
Yeah.
Sean made a good point in the comments. Looking at the ground map, side stands not a million miles off sold out so far. Place will rock if Austin scores. Woody mentioned about having a bumper crowd. That can only help tomorrow, can't it? With the whole feeling that whether you were pro Lindsay or not, the whole change, it's going to certainly have an impact, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be all about the game tomorrow. There's a bit of uncertainty about with the manager and everything like that, what's going to go on. But it's all about the game. It's all McDonald, Gunning. They've all said the same. It's all about the 3 points tomorrow. Go on, Trev.
Yeah, Trev. Trev.
Trev, do you want to come say hello to your people?
And for those listening on audio,
I was in my disguise then.
My word.
Hello,
3
Trev.
minute Bob's just messaged. He's had enough. He's gone.
Sorry, Wazza, do continue.
No, that's my fault. But no, it's all about the 3 points tomorrow. I think the place will be buzzing. I think we've got to start quick. If we get the first goal, it's just going to be a party. It feel like a bit of a party atmosphere. And Sean's bang on. If Austin scores, God, the place is going to shake. It's going to go absolutely mental. But it's a tough one tomorrow. Grimsby tomorrow. I think a lot of people are just going to go, "Oh, Swindon are going to win," and Grimsby are going to come here with no pressure. They got a free hit. They're going to have a good go. They play their football. They got a good manager in themselves. To be honest with you, do you know what I mean? An experienced manager who's a club legend there. I don't think it's going to be as easy as we think. I think it's going to be a tough one. But you just got to hope with this bumper crowd that we're going to pull them through. And I think, you know what I mean? Sometimes when a manager goes, there's always some sort of players that had a little gripe against the manager and stuff like that. And you might see the shackles released, and you know what I mean? You might see some performances tomorrow from players that you might have not expected it from. Do you know what I mean? So it's, yeah, but 3 points is all that matters. We need to start getting consistency and winning games, and this has got to be the start of it tomorrow.
I love the telepathy that you've got. That you always segue nicely into my next question, because I was going to ask Craig. We've been discussing the term style of play has come up a lot in recent weeks, if not months. Are you expecting a change tomorrow in the sense of maybe like Wazza says, the shackles are off and it's just bang, that they're just going for it from the beginning?
Yeah, I hope so. I don't know if it'll be that much different because obviously this is a coach that that Lindsay appointed. So you imagine he'd be in the same frame of mind. I honestly don't know. I hope so. Yeah, because clearly, you know, not to drag on about Lindsay, but clearly he was out of his depth at our club, unfortunately, as sad as that was. So yeah, it'd be nice to try something different, and hopefully the players can play with more freedom. I just hope tomorrow that they play the game, not the occasion, because obviously it's going to be a bigger crowd and everything, and with that comes more pressure. But the club can't have it both ways. They say get behind the club, and it looks like tomorrow they will be. They will be out there in force, So they got to really turn out a performance tomorrow, because it's all well and good saying, support the club. We keep getting 10,000 people in a week and all this and everything. Well, especially at home, we are due a performance, because let's face it, we have been absolutely shocking at home. Even in the games that we've won, we haven't been great. So yeah, tomorrow, I just want the players hopefully play with a bit more freedom, but don't let the occasion get to them either. So obviously that they've got an experienced head there in Charlie Austin, so I'm sure that will make a big difference in the dressing room. They can look to him, and he'll give them plenty of advice, especially the more younger players, inexperienced players who might not be used to playing in a big crowd, as big a crowd as what we might be expecting tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I think it's going to be a tough game. Grimsby are better away from home than they are at home. Their home form's atrocious from what I saw earlier. So it's going to be tricky. And as I think Woz has said, they've got a good manager there who is well loved by their fans. So yeah, I mean, if Austin gets off on gets onto the score sheet early on, then it's ours, isn't it? It's ours to lose after that. So, but we just I think whatever happens, if we say draw or something like that, it's not the end of the world. I don't want us to panic, or if Austin doesn't score, it's about gaining some momentum and getting some form going. As long as we don't lose tomorrow, that's the main thing. It's a big change. A lot has happened. So let's go out there, get the players to enjoy it, and then hopefully we can pick up that win without the pressure on them, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's two separate bits of pressure there, which gives me the option to bring Nick and Ben in individually. So before I do that, though, Paddy's been in again. Good evening, fellow celebs. May I purloin you with Paddy's prediction punt? Swindon 3, Grimsby 1 with a Charlie Austin hat-trick. A crowd of 12,450 is his prediction.
Oh, I love that.
There is another one from Paddy that I'll read out. That this is aimed almost exclusively at Woody, but that's just for a little bit later in the show, so I'll save that one. Nick, so on the subject of pressure, that, as I say, there was two elements there. The first one is on Charlie himself, and in that I mean, are we in danger of kind of making it all about him and forgetting, the discussion for weeks now has been, we've signed him, he's going to score the goals, he's going to do this, he's going to fire us promotion, and we've said he can't do it on his own. But all the talk in this game, and even ours a little bit later, is specifically about him. Is it almost there that he has to do it? But on the flip side of that, he's the kind of caliber of person you feel who can take that pressure on. He knows it's all about him for this game, but he can deal with that.
No, it's not. It's not all about Charlie. Gav Gunning said that. It's definitely not all about Charlie. It's about the team on Saturday, and Charlie's, got big enough shoulders to carry all this. He knows what the crack is, and he'll get out. He'll play his game. I don't think any of this noise around what's going on will affect him at all. He will play his game, and from what you've heard, he's been superb in training. They've said he's put it up to a different level, which is some ways worrying a bit, because we should have been up to that different level anyway. So if he's taken it up to a different level, something was seriously wrong. But sort of going back to what you said, yeah, big crowd. The downside for that for me is that means parking at St Joe's and taking a long walk rather than getting in a cricket ground and taking a short walk. So I couldn't even get in there on Boxing Day, which was a pain in the ass. So, living sort of over an hour away, it means I've either got to get there really, really early and hang about, or that horrible long walk from St Joe's. But on the game itself, with Grimsby. I mean, they were my dark horses for the season. They've won their last 2 games. I think FA Cup against Burton, higher league, and they beat Stockport. So they're not going to be any pushover. They're going to come here and shithouse us. They're going to want to spoil the party, and it is going to be a really, really hard game. And we've really got to be on it. So, fingers crossed we will be. Swindon aren't great when there's a big crowd and lots of expectation. We've seen it lots of times before. So, let's hope that Charlie Boy can, grab a goal, push us forward, and get those 3 points. That's more important than anything else. I'd like to see a really good performance. What we've been promised, this fast flowing, forward moving football, get up at them in the first 10, 15, 20 minutes, make it exciting, get the crowd on their feet. We do that, it'll be a cracking day. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Contrary to that, though, and we've seen a couple of comments, including Nick's there, Ben, about the pressure on the whole team of playing in front of a bumper crowd compared to normal. You were probably the most vocal of the Lindsay Out Brigade in terms of Fools Rushing panelists. It's fair to say. So you must be quite excited, even though it's not the new permanent head coach stroke manager in place yet. You must be excited that this is, the start of the dawn of a new era.
Yeah, the season starts again now, really. I think tomorrow we can play with the handbrake off for the first time in a long time. I think the opportunity is there just to sit down. Gunning's probably going to be in charge for one game and one game only. So he's going to be, right, lads, let's just have a go today from the first minute. Let's get the crowd on side. Let's get the crowd upbeat. Let's go at them, see if we can nick one early and bring momentum on and just really start to have a crack at them. I think I'm a lot more optimistic now than I would if Lindsay was still in charge. A lot more optimistic. I think I'm quite confident we're going to win. I think that Grimsby are not going to make it easy. Of course they're not. They're going to sit there and their manager's going to say, do you hear that? Let's piss on their parade. And they're going to do everything they can to try and stop us and to make the game hard. But I think with the atmosphere that's going to be, even if they try and double mark Charlie out the game, it gives the opportunity for other players to get into it as well. Charlie's movement creates opportunity for other players to get into spaces. I think for the first time, we're going to see players committed into the box. And I think we're going to have a real go. I'm really keen. And what was said earlier as well by some of the players, really interested to see how players like Louis Reed get on. Because I think we might start to see the best out of him. Now Lindsay's gone, I think some of the players might come out their shells a little bit. I don't think he's probably as popular as he was earlier in the season, as they thought. I'm just excited. For the first time in a long time, I'm really excited about the football. I can't wait.
Dread to think. I just worry about the harsh come down for you tomorrow specifically, Ben, if it doesn't go to plan.
Look, if it doesn't go to plan, then I'll take it on the chin. We've got a new manager coming, and it's all onwards and upwards to Walsall. But I think I'm just excited for tomorrow. It's gonna be a great day, and hopefully we can get them the points. I'm confident we can start on the front foot, and if we do that, I'm confident we can win.
It's kind of been semi-spoken about by a couple already, Craig, but it's important we don't ignore the fact that there is another team there. There is an opposition. They're going to have their own agenda. They're going to be, like was said, there to spoil the party. They know how much talk there is about this game, but they've got their part to play as well.
Yeah, of course. As Ben said, they're not going to make it easy for us. They seem to be improving their form. I think they've still, they've got a couple of games in hand, so they're going to want to make them count. And as we know, it's close from fourth all the way down to Grimsby, maybe even further. So if they get points off of people above them, then that's going to be huge for them. So I can see it. It's going to be a very tough game, and they've got their part to play, and they haven't got the pressure. They haven't got the pressure, have they? So yeah, it will be interesting to see how it all pans out tomorrow. But Grimsby will definitely play their part. And we've seen this season that apart from the top three, the rest of the league's pretty poor, to be fair. There's no real standout teams, which goes against what I said at the beginning of the season. This is going to be a really tough league. There's going to be loads of good teams and everything. To be fair, there isn't, so it's anybody's to play really in these next, until the end of the season. So in another way, taking Charlie Austin out of the picture, it's important that we get this win anyway, because Grimsby are going to be a team that's going to be competing with us for those playoff positions. So yeah, definitely they will play their part and they'll make it very difficult tomorrow. And I think it will be a very close game.
Is anyone expecting anything maybe a bit left field in terms of team selection or tactics? Or is anyone or are you all kind of expecting the same kind of 11?
Well, I saw Nick's predicted 11, and there was a surprise inclusion in that one.
He won't. He won't.
Well, was that my first one or or the one I corrected?
Oh, was that it wasn't your proper one with the mystery number 10?
No.
But he's not a mystery. He does play for us.
I know he does play for us. if you ask anyone watching who plays number 10,
I got my K's mixed up.
We give some context for our viewers because we're just having a conversation amongst ourselves here.
Go on, Nick, tell us all about it.
Right, I put us down as playing a 2 up front diamond, and instead of putting Khan at the tip of the diamond, I put Canoe. So it was a slight error in my fat fingers on the system.
As much as I'd like to see a diamond, I just can't see it. I mean, Gunning. You've got to remember, Gunning is a defensive coach. You know what I mean? He's and that the one thing will be tomorrow that, and I know it sounds stupid, but if we can't win, don't lose.
The one thing.
Except he did say he would make tweaks, and really, what major?
Tweaks,
he's not going to make major tweaks, but what tweaks can you do to a 4-3-3
without changing a system? Though, do you know what I mean? It can be all about your attacking patterns, your defensive patterns, how you move. You know what I mean? I don't think there'll be wholesale changes. I don't think there'll be a change to the system. I'd love to see 2 up top, but I just don't think it'll happen. It'll be one of Austin or Jeffcott through the middle to start. Wakelin will be wide, I think. And I think that's what will happen. I just can't see him going bold. I just don't think it'll happen.
Just on the point about, you got to remember he's a defensive coach and stuff, and I know it means very little in the grand scheme of things, but Eddie Howe was the same, and Newcastle plays some of the slickest attacking football I've seen this season.
But they also can shithouse. Newcastle are very good at that. They got a good balance, and that's where Eddie Howe and that comes in. But yeah, I think tomorrow, I just think it'll be similar to what we've seen. I can't. You know what I mean? And my concern is tomorrow is that we're all saying about Austin how good he could be, and I totally get that. But the service has got to be there. He's a striker that needs service. He's not a striker that's going to run in behind and offer you a load of work rate and stuff like that. You forget that he's 33 and he's going to be clever with the movements that he makes. But he needs the right service into the box. Otherwise, he's not going to score goals.
But that's why I think that we need to go 2 up front to give him that extra bit of support.
I totally agree. I totally agree that I want to go 2 up front, but then you lose that bit of balance in the middle of the park. I think the only way you go 2 up top is that you say 3-5-2. But then that's another question that we don't like.
Yeah, exactly.
You get enough defense.
We've been round with this diamond, but it leaves you so exposed unless you've got the right players playing that position. I love it. I totally agree, but it's just not right.
And with diamond, as much as Louis Reed's been out of form, you need Louis Reed at the base of the diamond.
You need Louis Reed in 100%. You need Louis Reed firing on all cylinders to play that system. And
speaking of the right players in the right system and stuff, and I'm sure we'll touch on it a bit later as well. But Ben, you don't mind a bit of a transfer gossip, that's for sure. If the rumours from all these new journalistic accounts are true, that there's links to Gladwin leaving, there's links to McDonald leaving, can you see these players not playing as a sign of it being true?
There's some conspiracy about on Low Strangers that Gladwood's actually not playing because the club want their 50, 60 grand, whatever, for when he goes to Crawley. But yeah, I don't think that's it at all. Yeah, do you know what? It's all speculation. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks of transfers. None of us do, really. I think we're going to be seriously busy. I think there's transfers already lined up. So when the new manager comes, he signs it off. But I don't think we'll see anything until the new man comes in towards the back end of next week. So we might not see any movement towards Bill after Walsall next Saturday. So I think we're going to have one really busy, packed transfer week. We're going to see about 5 players in and probably about 3 leave. But yeah, we'll see we'll see what happens. But no one really knows. I think the club have been quite tight-lipped in what's going on. And
shock.
I know. All you hear is outs at the moment. All you hear is the speculation of Alan McDonald. All you hear about is the speculation about Gladwin and Hutton. The only in we possibly had was Joe Tomlinson, which Sandro said poo-pooed quite quickly.
Oh well, in which case,
yeah, I know. So we'll see what happens in the coming week. Just going on what I said, actually, I kind of think the exact opposite, which probably means we'll meet somewhere in the middle. I think Gunning's in charge for one game, and I think he's just going to go, right, lads, let's have a real go. See that atmosphere outside, entertain them, give them a go. Let's try and win this match and start on the front foot and get ourselves back. And that's how I think the approach will be. So I think we're going to have a right go at them. They might be. I think if we are a little bit more timid and we do start on the back foot, I think the fans can get on the back of them and so if we're going to create corners, if we're going to create chances, Austin's got a good chance of getting on one because it only needs one chance in front of the town end.
okay.
So let's see. I've got that.
Look how happy Wazza is today. Just really enjoying listening to Ben there.
We're just completely contrasting, but we're probably somewhere in the middle. I'm like,
Yeah, it'd be the same.
And he's like,
It'd
super
be the
cautious.
same as what it
Yeah,
is.
we're probably somewhere in the middle is what's going to happen tomorrow. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Nobody knows, but we're all certainly looking forward to it. That's for sure. Should we run around and get some score predictions then for what we might see tomorrow? Let's start with Woody.
I'll go 2-1 Swindon.
2-1 to Swindon. Nick?
I think this scoreline's been said a lot by different podcasts in that we always concede, so I'll go 3-1.
Ben?
4-4-2. Not sure if it's Diamond or not. Jeff Cott and Austin up front, and Swindon win 3-0. Both of them score.
Okay, interesting. Wazza?
1-0 Town, and I'll take it now. Thank you.
That'll do.
Sean's gone 2-1 to Swindon. Craig?
See, I'd like to go with my heart and say, oh yeah, Charlie Austin will score and we'll win. Now, bearing in mind, right, listen, the last time I did a prediction, I predicted we beat Colchester 4-0. And that was my heart ruling my head. So
No, you
I'm
were
going to
pissed
go.
then, weren't you, mate? You were pissed then. There's the red wine.
Well, that's not really an excuse, mate. But yeah. Thanks anyway, Ben. But I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I can't see them beating us, but I think it's going to be incredibly tight. It's going to be close. Not much is going to be in it, but I think it'll be 1-1 party.
You'll get on Low the Strangers with that scoreline.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, yeah.
I
I think I'll pass.
Mike asking, did Ben just predict the score to be 4-4-2?
No, I said 3-0 Swindon, 4-4-2 Jeff Cott and Austin up front, and both of them to score. Austin with 2, Jeff Cott with 1. Austin.
I don't. Thinking this, if he plays 2 up front, I don't think he'll play Jeff Cott and Austin together.
I think it'd be Austin and Wakeley.
Yeah, it'd be one of the two.
I think it'll be Jeff. I've got a feeling of Jeff Cott and Austin. I think there's a chance of a Billy Painter, Charlie Austin.
Yeah, I think it'd be Jeff.
No,
Cott.
I don't think Billy Painter's going to play.
Gunning's
that type of partnership.
Gunning's not obliged play a lone player for the one game that he's managing. He might be like, right, fuck it, let's put Wakeling in, and we've got a chance of winning.
I'm thinking more on the workhorse front. If Charlie Austin is as immobile as people think he's going to be,
just let's clarify this. Us 33-year-olds are in peak physical condition.
Yeah,
I don't think he will be that immobile. But but I just think if he's going to just be asking Charlie to go on there and stand in the area and slot it in, Jeff Cott's not going to have the work rate to do Charlie Austin's 50%. It's so I just think that's why it
just
might
said he
be
is going to
Wakeling.
move.
But no, that's what I'm saying. Like, if people, that's what I said. If people think he's going to be immobile, as some people are saying, then they won't.
I think even Charlie's admitted it. To be honest, you listen to some of his interviews, and he said that he's got to be more clever in what he does. He says he's a different player to the one that we would have that we had years and years ago.
This one scores at Wembley.
But that's to be expected. It doesn't mean that he's immobile. I mean, he's 33 for Christ's sake.
Yeah, he's
but in football years. But in football years, Craig.
If he's immobile at 33, I'm nearly 43. I must be a fucking statue.
You must be a GWR train right now.
You are Craig when you stand outside the station with your sign. Yeah, you are a statue.
Well, that's it, mate. Power to the people, mate.
Can I just say as well, there's a WhatsApp group.
Come the revolution, Wazza, you'll be the first up against the wall. Don't worry.
Craig, I'm with you, mate. If there's half a sniff of a chance of goal, Charlie will be at speed. Don't worry about that.
There's a group anyway, a WhatsApp group, the Lower League WhatsApp group, and on there, it's just full of.
Oh, there's a shock. Ben plugging another podcast.
And at the moment they're all cream because Walsall have just signed Jamal Matt from I think it's Jamal. What's his first? Anyway, Matt from Forest Green Rovers.
Have they?
He's the same age as Austin, and they're going, "Oh, he's such a great player. He's been the best player in the league." And I was thinking, Austin's 33. He's exactly the same age as Matt. And like they think that he's going to be.
Matt's a good player.
He's a great player, but he's not Charlie Austin.
Fucking, I mean, he's bound to score against us next week then.
Oh, yeah, almost certainly. But then Charlie Austin will score against them.
That's right then.
For what it's worth, I'm being the ever positive one that I am. I'm going that Swindon Town turn up on a big occasion, the massive homecoming that is being portrayed as, and we win 4-0.
Yes.
Before we move on, though, let's just conclude that last bit of conversation. Should we go with a 2 up top? And I'd love to know what those watching think as well. So post the answer in the comments. If it's Austin +1 in a front 2, who is the partner going to be? So Woody, you going with Wakeling?
Yeah.
Of course he is.
Of course.
I don't rate Jeff Cott either, so I'm quite happy with Wakeling.
Nick, I presume you're going Adeloy or Hepburn Murphy?
No, Jeff Cott.
Jeff Cott, okay.
No, he's bound to play because he was called into the interview on I don't know, Wiltshire Radio, whatever it was, the interview earlier in the week. So it's bound to be him. He's got to start.
Can anyone see Austin not starting?
No.
I really
No.
can't.
I wouldn't be surprised if he just
can
thought
see him
maybe
playing
half an hour
15
to
minutes.
go and then unleash him.
Can you imagine though if he doesn't start, what it'll be like with the crowd?
Flat. It'll go flat.
Yeah, but
I can understand why he possibly wouldn't, but
Yeah.
if there's going to be 12, 13,000 in there,
100% that Austin will start tomorrow. It's just very up in the air. You just don't know, do you?
No,
Okay, let's throw that one into the chat as well. Does anyone watching think Austin doesn't start and comes off the bench to score the winner?
There we go. 1-0, last minute.
yeah. But Gunning was teasing it by saying he's in the squad. Now that tells you he's going to start, isn't it? They're not going to mess about. He's got to start.
Sean says, with the lack of goals in recent times, it would be a farce if you don't start.
Agreed.
Yeah, bang on.
I think sorry.
No, go on, Woody, and then I'll.
As I say, I think the fact that the team didn't play last week has actually probably worked in Austin's favour.
Yeah,
because you could argue that that Austin will be fit enough to play, but I don't think we'll see a whole game out of him. I think we might see 60 minutes.
Yeah, agree with that.
My biggest fear is if we don't start Austin and then we go 1-0 down. That just piles a load of pressure on when we bring him on. And knowing Swindon, we'll bring him on in like the 78th minute or something where he can't really have an impact. So, yeah, I think I'd be surprised if we didn't start him, just based on the fact that we didn't play last week. So he's almost in the same kind of boat as everybody else. So yeah, but like I say, if he's been the one that's ramped up training, that suggests to me that he's probably fitter than most of the squad anyway, even though he hasn't played since the 19th of December or whatever it was. He hasn't played since. So, but yeah, he's got to. I feel like sometimes you can't let the occasion and the emotion come into it. Sometimes you can't let the occasion and the emotion come into it. But sometimes it's just got to happen.
That would be textbook Swindon Town, that this is all about Charlie Austin and Adeloy comes off the bench and scores the winner.
That'll do me.
I don't. Do you know what? I don't reckon Adeloy will be in the squad.
No, of course he won't.
I think the fact that he played against Chippenham, I think he won't even be in the squad.
Scored 2, by the way. Well done, Tommy.
Against Chippenham's academy side.
It's not that you can only score against what's in front of you. He was given an opportunity, scored 2 goals.
I agree. The goal never changes size. But either way, it's still against Chippenham's academy side.
Ben, on the assumption Austin starts against the front 2, who's the strike partner?
Jeffcott.
Was it?
I think he'll go Wakeland.
Okay.
I think it's just a balance.
And Craig.
I think if Austin's fit, he's got to start. No other way about it. And I think it's got to go Wakeland. Wakeland offers us more, unfortunately, with Jeffcott, and that's not Jeffcott's fault. It's just that we never use
it
it
is.
effectively. So no, we just don't. So I can't see much changing really, to be fair, until a new manager comes in. So I think Wakeland will just give us a bit more options. Grimsby.
It's a great point you make, though, Craig, about it not being his fault. Because bearing in mind that we signed Jeffcott on kind of to do Charlie Austin's role.
Yeah.
Kind of be the one that's put the goals away. And he's ended up playing kind of the opposite. He's had to be kind of the workhorse as well.
I'd send him back to Plymouth, to be honest. Not that it's his fault, but we just haven't used him effectively. And I don't think we will use him effectively for the rest of the season. And it's better off bringing someone in who we're more likely to.
And we're paying some of his wages.
I think to see Jeffcott with a different manager with is a lot more attack minded.
Right, there's a few of us that would like to see Jeffcott with a different club. So
yeah, I'd like to see Jeffcott though with an attacking manager who's going to create chances, going to support the bodies in the box, and he's not going to be surrounded by 2 or 3 great lumps around him and being isolated and not having another player within 20 yards of him. I'd love to see that, Jeffcott.
Flat front 3. That's what we're doing.
If that happens and someone brings out the best of him, then brilliant. I'm all for that, because I want to see the Jeffcott that we were expecting before when he signed on for us, and the excitement. We were all excited, myself included, when we were like, oh yeah, this is a top signing. This is a really good signing for us. And it just hasn't transpired that way. And partly that reason is because he hasn't been used effectively.
No,
yeah, and he doesn't get.
It's a screaming 3-4-3, isn't it? We're going Wakeland, Austin, and Jeffcott up front.
Yeah.
I think Jeffcott's conference player and Lindsay sucked the confidence completely out of that boy.
I'll be honest. So even knowing who this was about, my instant reaction when I saw Garv's comment was, "When did we sign Francis Jeffers?" Woody, obviously, a lot of the focus and attention tonight is going to be on the men's game this weekend. But let's have a moment to talk about what the women's teams are up to this weekend as well, please.
I don't think the under-18s game will probably be on tomorrow. They're supposed to be away to Berkeley, but I'll be surprised if it's on. Development team aren't playing, and well done to Ethan, by the way, for securing sole manager role. The first team are supposed to be hosting St Austell. It's at Fairford. It's difficult at the moment, isn't it? Because you look at the rain. We were all talking about whether the county ground will still be on tomorrow. If the county, which I think it will be fine, but if that's bloody called off, then there's no chance for Fairford on Sunday. But yeah, they got St Austell, bottom of the league. Hopefully, a good chance to recover from last weekend. St Austell have come up from Tier 5. They did quite well in Tier 5. I've seen St Austell. They got quite a few handy players. They take advantage of the unis that are down there. I can't remember which ones are down there, but there's a couple that kind of in that catchment area. So yeah, I'm expecting goals. I'm expecting goals, to be honest, on Sunday, especially if James has got a massive plethora of players with the development team not playing as well. So I'm expecting goals.
I like your pronunciation of that. I always thought it was plethora.
It probably was.
I think it is plethora, isn't it?
No,
No, I'm just common.
I'm gonna every time I say it now, I'm gonna be saying it 3 times. Plethora. Oh, plethora. Okay.
Sticking with you then, Woody, let's move on to the next topic. I'm going to flash this comment up again from Dean, but I'm going to read out the one from Paddy, as I know that you'd like to kick things off here. So Dean said, what's your thoughts on the backlash to the Sandro interview? Earlier on, Paddy said, good evening. No, let me read the right one. If I can just kick off, gents, Sandro Di Michele needs to be given his BFH, bus fare home. Time to go, El Sandro. You may have put out a tweet some 13 and a half hours ago where you said you really wanted to go in depth on this. Have you calmed down since?
I have calmed down from my four thread long tweet that I had prepared earlier. And I do you know what? Ironically, and I know we spoke about it off air, that I'm starting to see people, I don't want to say defending him, but kind of almost sympathising for him, in terms of, I think there's a few things that are really irritating me at the moment. And, I don't want to speak foul of Clem and Rob, etc. But what's irritating me is we've got 3, what I would consider the leadership team in terms of Clem, Sandro Di Michele and Rob. And they all seem to be saying different things. Like Clem, it looked like it was a one-liner about signing Charlie Austin wasn't intentional to help get us up. Rob, for me, was the best and most positive interview out of the 3 of them. But Sandro's was just the same old bollocks that he repeated in the docuseries. It's the whole if he turned around and said my job is to bring in players to showcase them, then fair enough. But he's acting like the whole team's job is to showcase these players that he's bringing on off his fucking XL97 that he's bringing in that probably hasn't got the wrong formulas in even. And it's just, he just sits there and it's just like, we're going to showcase players. Mate, this is fucking League 2. You don't showcase players in League 2. All you're doing is showcasing them for League 1 where we're not going to get any money for them. And one of the things I put in the tweet was about I went on that transfer market. I'm sure some of the other guys use the transfermarket.co.uk or whatever it is. Yeah, pretty decent website. I know there's a lot of undisclosed fees in League 2 and League 1, but you kind of get the gist. So 600 odd players left in 2021-22 out of League 2 clubs. They might have gone to League 2 clubs, but they were out. The known value was 1.9 million for all of those players. Okay. For League 1, just over 600, worth over 9 million. So bearing in mind that's got probably 75% of those would have been undisclosed. Probably 10% of those would have been, loans and things like that. I just don't understand how he can't see that all we're doing, if we showcase in League 2, it'd be League 1 players that sign. Very rarely do you see anybody spending big money on League 2 players. But then you look at League 1, Scott Twine would never have been sold to Burnley from Swindon. Never. Burnley wouldn't have touched him. But then as soon as it was MK Dons, they signed him from. Yep. As soon as he went to MK Dons, who do play attractive business football, they get a lot more attention. And then he's gone. He's gone to Burnley for a decent price. And I just think that it's this kind of, I don't really care about promotion as long as I'm bringing in potentially good young players to sell on. I'm not being funny. Now, you all know I fucking love Jake Wakelin. I think he's a fantastic talent. But if he was something that we were going to bring in to sell on, he would have been gone from Leicester a long time ago. At the end of the day. So all we're doing, if we're showcasing the players like Jake Wakelin, all we're doing is snapping him, getting him ready for someone like Wickham or MK Dons that they're going to probably pay £900,000 for, or wait until the end of his fucking contract. I actually love an Excel spreadsheet. But I used the most recent version of Excel, Mike. Unlike Sandro, who's still using 1997, probably still plays Championship Manager.
Let's not knock Championship Manager, please.
That was done on purpose, Fyfie. Thanks. Just ruined my joke there. But yeah, I just want them to talk to each other, because like less than 2 days later, Rob Angus is coming out saying we're going for promotion. You know, we all want to do all. You know, we want to develop. I think we said off air, every club is a selling club. I think Nick said it. I think Nick. It was definitely Nick that said it. Every club is a selling club until you get into the Premiership, arguably, and even then. So trying to make us sound like we're purposely signing players to sell. I'm sorry, but if you keep on with that attitude, we will get less than half of those season tickets next year, because people just won't be interested. They won't. We don't want to sit there and watch fucking players playing, like playing shit football. Because what are we showcasing at the moment? I think you should read that one out, Fyfie, just for our listeners on Spotify.
So the reason that all went quiet, other than a couple of sniggers, was because Mark's messaged in. I think when you see him in his name, you think he's going to be like some mafia leader. Then when he talks, he makes Kylie sound butch. Along the same train of thought, Woody, Paddy's tweeted in, plethora or plethora. Didn't he play for Brazil in the 70s?
I think I went there on holiday.
In Greece. Plethora.
That's me calmed down from when I was ranting earlier after listening to his fucking bollocks interview. Just stay off our fucking radio station. I don't want to listen to your shit anymore. And to be honest, like, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt to the end of the season, based on how we finish this season. If he works some magic, as Craig said many times, we'll both eat our hat if he works the magic this season. But I can't see it. Wigan didn't showcase any players to sell on. We're not going to showcase any players to sell on. That is just a pure excuse to say, I don't really know what I'm fucking doing.
The irony that we started tonight's show trying to defend people who sit behind a desk for a living, and you've spent the last 50 minutes slating someone who sits behind a desk for a living looking at a spreadsheet.
FYI, I find people for my job as well, and I don't have any problems. Useless fella.
Ben, let's bring you into the debate here, because as Woody suggested, we've seen comments and interviews from Rob Angus and from Clem as well, and they certainly gave a different impression, a different message, and it can't be good when the technical director, the chief, or what is he, CEO, and the owner are all kind of saying different things, can it?
Well, I think after that Sandro interview, Clem's just sort of gone right to everyone, because Charlie was the same as well. Charlie would quickly distance himself from that Dee McKaylee interview. I think there's going to be, like, Clem's going to ring up and say, right, you're not allowed to talk in public anymore. You're not allowed to talk to people, because he's not media. He's supposed to be a PR guy, and he's not media savvy whatsoever. He's just a completely demotivation. We've got a biggest game of the season coming up on Saturday. He doesn't bring that up once. He doesn't bring up promotion once. And he just mentions signing players and setting them on like they're going to be ninth in League Two forever. And this is as good as it gets. No, it was horrible and depressing. Really, really sad. So just like, don't talk anymore, Dee McKaylee. Just be quiet. Other people talking.
Woody, Paddy's been back in touch. Totally agree with you, Woody, mate. Speaking more sense than the spiff, Dee McKaylee. Clem, Angus, and Charlie had to go on Operation Damage Limitation after SDS spoke.
Exactly what they did after that. I think Dee McKaylee got a bit of a bollocking, to be quite honest, after that. And I think the next interview he gives will be a lot more positive. And I think he'll mention promotion after any other sentence.
Of course, it'd be rude of us at this. It'd be rude of us at this section to offer the olive branch out if Sandro would like to come on Fools Rush In and discuss whether we're chasing promotion or just trying to showcase talent in League Two.
Exactly.
I'm sure there's a few panelists here who'd like to have a word with you.
Clem and Rob Angus dislikes this.
Primary goal is promotion. And if we can do that by picking up a few bargains and sell them on the way, then that's brilliant, because that's how lower league clubs survive. But our primary target is promotion. Let's get out this division. Then I'm fine with that. But not to even bring that up. Terrible.
Nick, you've stayed remarkably calm and poised through the discussion so far. What did you think to the various interviews and messages?
I was the same as Woody. I was absolutely steaming when I heard that first interview. I calmed down a lot. And I think what they're trying to do doesn't fit to League Two. And if you look at young players we brought into the club, and I've said it before, the only one that's really developed is Clayton, and he's injured. The ones that are being talked about of transfer targets are Iandolo, Gladwin, and McDonald. Well, they hardly fit the model of Sandro's spreadsheet. So, the whole thing's a bloody nonsense. So, fair play to him. And someone did put on Twitter that, well, he was asked the question. And yes, he's there to bring players in, development, sell them on, make a profit for the club, which is fine, which is what you need to do at this level. But he should have said, irrespective of that, the club's main priority this season is to get promoted from League Two. Now, if he'd have done that, there wouldn't have been any heat at all. So, his job is a specific one. And either he understands what the overall the overall way the club wants to go, which is to get out of this division by being promoted. And his job is to bring in young players and development, which is fine. And, I hope he does it, because if he can bring in young kids and we sell them for 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, that's going to do us good for the future. But it's the way he's gone about it. Now, whether he's naive, he's not been in football very long, he's come from a different industry, and as Woody said, keep him away from the cameras in the interviews, let him do the stuff in the background. And, Rob and Clem have had to come out, and Charlie to, put it as it should be and say that the aim is promotion. Charlie hasn't come here to fanny about in the 8th, 9th, 10th in League Two. That's the last thing he wants to do. He wants us to get into that promotion spot, top 3, get into League One, and who knows, he might have another season out of him in League One. So that's the priority. I don't care if we bring a manager in, even if it's short term, and we pay hoofball for the rest of the season and we win more games than we drop points and we get promoted. That is the priority. Now, yes, I'd love us to play lovely, slick, fast-moving football, get the league and win it in style. But at the moment, I don't care about the style. I want us to win every game and get those 3 points. That's a priority. And that should be the message through the club, from the bloody tea lady up to the owner. Simple as that.
Craig, that's a great point Nick makes there. And it's one of the reasons why I've been particularly vocal in our WhatsApp chat when the subject of new managers and links to who they are, because I think signing Charlie Austin is a statement, regardless of what anyone outside of Swindon thinks, and we're overhyping it because of the history we have with him. Charlie Austin signing for a League Two club is a statement. I think there will be, or I believe that statement continues with appointment of a well-respected, a good name manager or first team coach. And I've been very much, since the name, whether it happens or not, I've been very much on the Houghton train. I was like, he is ideal for what I'm looking for. What's your take on it? Do you think we're going to see more statements over the next couple of weeks, whether that be in the head coach appointment, in the transfer window?
Well, I don't know, to be honest, because it feels like there's been up until today, it feels like there's been a leadership vacuum at the club for the last few months, to be honest. I mean, we had Rob Angus's interview today, which was great, but that's the first time I've heard from him for a long time. Other than the advisory board meetings, he doesn't do much media stuff. And this isn't, I'm not having a pop at him or Clem or anything, but, you got to take both ways, criticism and the praise. Where's this leadership?
On that
been?
though, just very quickly on that, I would, for me personally, it doesn't sit right. I'm seeing more and more people tweeting his personal account, asking him for answers, and I wouldn't recommend that.
No, you don't do that. You don't tweet the personal accounts. You know, that's I'm you know, Rob's a fan of the club at the end of the day. We know he's got the club's best intentions, but a lot of this could have been avoided the last few months if there was some leadership stepping up. We don't expect Clem to do it. He's the other side of the world. He's got other businesses to do. But as far as I know, CEO, that's Rob's full-time job now. So he needs to show some leadership, get out there, do some more media stuff, I think. You know, the whole thing with the under-16s being banned without an adult, you know, there was nothing, nobody was stepping out personally and talking about that. It was all done through the social media channels. And then eventually, once the trust got onto them, through the advisory board. The same again with this silence, the media silence. Now, whatever you think of it, you know, the club doesn't just pause because we're in transition between managers. The club is still running. We had a game and everything. Yeah, for legal reasons, you don't expect them to comment about Lindsay. I think most reasonable Town fans would be like, okay, fine, but you still carry on. Crawley did. So the whole legal reason is bullshit because Crawley did. So I got grief for this on Twitter because I was like, well, where's the apology? They haven't given the reason why. And it's like, oh, well, it said there in the article. Well, no, it doesn't. They said it's because of legal reasons, which we know is bollocks because Crawley did it. So yeah, we don't, you know, like I said, we didn't expect them to talk about Lindsay and the situation until they were able to when he was finally gone. That's fine. I don't think anyone has got an issue with that. And then the social media went into overdrive after that, didn't it? You know, as if to make up for it. And then we had Sandro's interview,
which made a mockery of everything that happened 24 hours previous.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm right. To be fair, the club was a bit more reactive and a bit more quicker, you know, sorting it out. But one of the reasons that Sandro's like that, and don't get me wrong, I was positive about his appointment at the beginning. He's not a football man. Sorry?
It's because you love the film Moneyball.
Yeah. But he's not a football man, is he? He's clearly not a football man, because if he was, he would know, if he was a football fan, that any team that's in a league, you're going for promotion, you're going to win it and stuff like that, if you were a proper football fan. And people saying, oh, we need like a proper PR person, he needs PR training, all this. This is League Two, for fuck's sake, right? We are not going to pay for proper PR training in League Two. And you don't need to be a PR guru. It's about reading the fucking room, for fuck's sake.
Mate, you've got what? You've got the so-called 4 elite podcasts, and then you've got the likes of us and the other ST. There's I think there's 9, if not 10 different STFC based content creators. It doesn't take, like you say, a PR genius. We're all doing it off the back of a hobby.
And let's face it as well. It wasn't as if he was getting probing questions. This was Sean Hodgetts, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? So it's not like you know, he didn't have. He had an easy ride at the end of the day. So, or you know, all he had to do was say we're going for promotion. But and I said this on my original tweet. We're becoming what Crew were back in their prime, which was about selling and developing players to be sustainable. I'm all for being sustainable, but I think I did a disservice to Crew, because when Crew was selling their players, they were going for millions. They were. Remember, Nick Powell.
Crew had a much better academy setup.
Yeah, they invested more in their academy system, and it was basically self-funding through the players they were selling. They had Nick Powell to Man United, Ashley Westwood to Aston Villa, Luke Murphy to Leeds. Who are we going to develop and sell to? We're going to sell to Peterborough, Crawley, Charlton for the lower end of a 6-figure sum. So it's not the same. It is not the same. And as Woody said, League Two is not the place to do it, to showcase it, because we might make a few quid here and there, but it's not substantial. We didn't even make that much on Harry McCurdy, let's face it. So you know, I'm all for being sustainable. We're a selling club. I don't think any Swindon fan could argue with that unless we've got a billionaire sugar daddy. We need to sell players to survive. But this whole focus on, and it's not just about the players, it's about not changing our style of play either. So it's like, even though it's clearly not worked this season, Sandro's still insistent, and it wasn't his first fucking interview that he said it. So it's not like it was an off the cuff, slip of the tongue thing. This is ingrained in his belief. He has and he's not just about the recruitment of players. He has a whole holistic approach to the data from games that we've played and players and stuff like that. So, his job is huge. And, I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, he was the one who recruited Lindsay. He's the one who's recruited most of these players. And I'm sorry. I mean, I am pragmatic, so I know we're not going to get rid of him. The time to get rid of him would have been after Colchester, but it's too late now. And like Woody said, if it gets to the end of the season and we go up, I'll put my hands up.
Could you argue if his remit is to essentially hire people and then move them on for money, and then Lindsay goes to Crawley reportedly for a sum of money, not mean that he's doing a good job? It's just with the coaches instead of the players.
Well, yeah. I mean, you don't expect it with the coaches, do you? But
Lindsay's gone to Crawley because it's a managerial job as well.
Yeah,
like it's that's a big difference. That's a big step up. Obviously, there'd be money there. He's probably on more money and closer to home. So I don't think SDM would have stood in the way. And this is where I get confused with this kind of. He might, we could end up making a lot of money out of players. You look at Jack Payne, moved on because he wanted to play at a higher level. Harry McCurdy moved on because he wanted to play at a higher level. None of them really mentioned, and I guess they won't, but none of them, it was obvious they were going for money. I think we offered more than Charlton did, didn't we? I think. So when you're a League Two player, you're thinking, oh, a League One club's coming in for me, a Scottish Prem club or whatever is coming in for me. That sounds amazing. You put pressure on the club then, and if you're putting pressure on the club to sell you, you're not making money because you found a fucking diamond in the rough. You're making money because they want to play at a higher level. And like we say, we probably didn't get hardly any money from McCurdy, really. And if we did, we get it in installments. The same clubs high up the ladder will always take advantage of low clubs because we need the money. We'd sell a player for £1 million, but we won't get that money for 2 years. It'll be like over installments of X amount per month and things like that. And then it will all change if they don't play a certain amount of appearances and all that kind of stuff. So I think we need to kind of pull away. Sandro he's hiding behind this. I could sell a player for millions because he won't. He will never get those millions probably whilst he's here. And also it won't be because he's found them. It'll be because that player wants to play at a higher level. So we won't be able to negotiate. We have no negotiating power in League Two. No negotiating power.
And that's the thing. It comes down to as well the leadership again and the communication between the holy trinity of Clem, Rob, and Sandro. I don't get how it can be so disjointed that they're not on the same bloody page.
You say that, mate, but there's 11 of us regulars, and we all sit here having these conversations twice a week. And despite what some people say, it's very rare we're all on the same page. You're all shouting over each other.
I think if we're talking about Sandro, there's something seriously wrong. Like, I totally agree with what everyone said, that we shouldn't be near a camera doing an interview. Because the likes of when Ben Chorley did it last year, he wasn't in front of a camera doing a load of interviews. He was doing his work in the back, and that's what we should judge Sandro on. What players he brings through the door. Whether they're cheap, whether they're young, whether they're old, whether the thing doesn't matter. If he brings them through the door and they're good enough at the football club, that's when he deserves a pat on the back. And yes, Sandro, you've done a decent job. He should go nowhere near a camera. But I think this shows the last week at this football club has been very difficult. Everyone was going, yeah, Lindsay out, Lindsay out, Lindsay out. But the people behind the script, behind the door, did not want Lindsay to go. None of them wanted Lindsay out. The chairman didn't want Lindsay to go. This has happened because Crawley come in and they offered, and the football club have gone, well, Lindsay wants to go, so that's what we have to do. Lindsay was not going to leave this football club sacked. This has happened because Crawley have come in and they wanted something and they wanted our head coach. And that's what's happened. So we've sort of gone into a bit of a phase and Dee McKaylee's had to speak, but he shouldn't have had to. His job is to recruit players, to bring them in, and we hope that they're good enough. I think there's been a lot of slack on him about that interview. I think he's brought in some good players this year. I think there is some good players there at this level. I think Hutton's a good player. I think Clayton's a good player. And there's others that have come in. Lavinier, we're starting to see a bit better. I think there's players there that he's brought in that he deserves a little bit of credit for. But he's come out and he's done this pathetic interview, which I totally agree with all of you. But he shouldn't have done it. But this is because the club has been a bit of in a phase for the last week that we can't believe what's happened, because they didn't want Lindsay to go. They wanted Lindsay to stay. I don't think Lindsay would have been sacked. I honestly don't. I literally think that this has all happened because of the Crawley situation. And now we're sat there thinking, oh God, what happens? What do we do? Sandro needs to go back to doing his job. He needs to stay away from the cameras, and we judge him solely on what players he brings through the door and what the next head coach is like. That's the two things that we should be judging him on. And that's the only things now. And yeah, I will say McDonald's, because but that is the two things that we should be judging Sandro on, is literally the players he brings through and the next head coach. He has got a big couple of weeks coming up, Sandro. And and he could turn all this opinion around if he makes the right calls. And if he doesn't, he deserves his head, because then we could be struggling to challenge him where we should be. But if he makes the right decisions, then I hope that people are bold enough after criticising him to come out and go, fair play, Sandro, you've done all right there. And that's what I hope will happen.
Sticking with you, Wazza, and going full circle to something Woody said, I think maybe 30 minutes ago, was about players, at League Two level, they go to League One. That's how it goes. It's only when you're sort of at League One then people start looking higher, Championship, maybe Premiership if you're lucky. However, again, purely rumour and speculation, of course, but we love talking about that sort of stuff here. Sol Bryn gets another Player of the Month award, and then reports come out that he's being looked at by Premier League clubs. What do you make of that?
Well, he deserves to be looked at it because he's performed well. I think he's been very good. We can't all disagree. If he plays well and he's in the spotlight, he's going to get looked at by. He's a young talent. He's a young keeper. I think he deserves all the plaudits he gets. I think we remember that first game at Harrogate where a lot of people said, "Oh, why wouldn't we play in Ward? Why wasn't Ward playing? Why ain't Ward our number one?"
And then he got booed at home to Salford.
Yeah. And then Sol Bryn has took all that slack on board as a young lad, and he has gone, fair play to him. And look, it'll be horrible for us if it does happen, but if he gets a move and he wants it, then you can't stop the young lad. He deserves it. He's knuckled down. He's worked hard. I think Mildenhall's had a massive influence as well. And I think Mildenhall, we don't talk too much about him, but he deserves a lot of credit. I think he's nurtured the young lad and helped him through a rough period. And I think he deserves all the plaudits he gets. And look, I don't want him to leave. None of us want him to leave. We want him to stay till the end of the season. Everyone that's going at the moment, we need to put an offer into Middlesbrough. Fucking behave. Do you know what I mean? We've got no chance of getting him. Absolutely zilch. We'll be lucky if he stays with us till the end of the season. If we get promoted...
I think he will, by the way.
Yeah, I think... If we do get promoted, that might slightly open the door ajar. But, if he has a great second half of the season like he's been playing recently, he's in the shop window, and we'll be lucky if we can keep hold of him to the end of the season, which I'm hoping we can.
But don't you think that's a weakness in our recruitment process? To me, there are three key areas: goalkeeper, centre-half, centre-forward. We had it with Bender, who was probably the best signing we had for a while as a keeper. We've got it with Bryn. Yep. We should be signing a permanent keeper. That is such a key position.
The only counter argument, Nick, I'd have to it is that when you find with keepers is that you get an up-and-coming talent or one that's a bit over the hill. Those middle steady keepers are like a Lewis Ward. And the club would have loved to have kept Lewis Ward at the start, but he wanted to go because he wanted to try and get first team football, which you can't argue with him. That's what he wanted to do. And I don't think the club have panicked into going to sign a Lee Camp sort of style mould, because they do come at a price, because they're older heads and they go, well, if you want to bring me through the door, this is what you're going to have to pay. And
I agree. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but it is such a critical position.
Oh, totally agree.
We shouldn't be relying on a lone player, to me, in that position.
Yeah.
And we've done it in the past, I say, with Bender. He's proven himself at Swansea at the moment, and obviously Bryn. He's already said he wants to be Middlesbrough #1 keeper next season. So wherever he goes, he's not going to be with us next season, and we start the whole process again. So you would hope if Dean McHale is doing his job, he would have keepers on his list that we could bring in that will do a job. And to me, they should be a permanent signing and get away from the loan in critical positions. It just makes it so difficult that, he could be recalled. I agree with Fyfie. I don't think he will, but there's always a risk there. So key positions, they should be our players. To me, it's as simple as that.
Woody, you've been around football a long time, and there's no arguing the fact that Woz has made. He deserves all the plaudits he gets. He deserves all the awards he gets. My question to you is, I see when I'm scrolling through social media, particularly when these sort of things come about, that I don't think it's necessarily just a Swindon fan response. I think most fans of clubs do it, but they say, "Oh, shock! The goalkeeper's got Player of the Month again. That just shows how bad we are."
Yeah, I never really. I'm kind of the same with that statement. With kind of Bryn's the reason we are where we are. I don't massively. I'm probably one of the only people on the panel that don't agree with that statement. But I think keepers are now going to get more and more, because we're expecting keepers to be players as well. Who am I talking to?
Talking to all of us.
Yeah, there's a
your TV, Ben.
noise or so.
Oh yeah, he's just muted it.
It might be five. All right, never mind. As Woz said, he deserves the plaudits he gets in terms of, he's just been playing brilliant, and I think, fair play to him. But I don't know. It's difficult because we do leak goals. So could you sit there and say, he's shocked that he's got player of the match? It's probably because the rest of them aren't playing consistently well, and I think that's probably the difference, is that he is arguably consistently well. I think I can only really pick one or two bad games from him. And kind of reflecting on what Woz said, I'm actually almost worried now, really, about Mildenhall being snapped up by somebody. There's got to be there's going to be a point that somewhere, surely, where Mildenhall's going to get snapped up, because this is no coincidence that it seems that if you take Kovar out of the situation, or even him, he made him a little bit better. Look at what clubs love to send their keepers to us, and Mildenhall has a massive part of that. And I've spoken before. I absolutely love Mildenhall. Sometimes I get there early just to watch him warm up the keepers. I like his approach. He gets the keepers psyched up and ready to go, like real, kind of real time all the time. But it's So I think I'm actually more worried about Mildenhall. How many manager changes has he gone through? Is it going to be a stage where he's had enough and he goes, I want to go to somewhere a little bit more stable? I think we're quite lucky that he just loves the club. I just think as well, he's going to be joint head coach, or whatever you want to refer it to, tomorrow. Again, he's there again. If we win tomorrow, Mildy's one of those that have saved the day again. When you think of the unpaid pre-season and things like that, I think we need to, I'm sure fans do in the back of their mind, but we really need to start smacking some credit on that guy's name, because I think he is. Here we go. I'm going to use it loosely. He's turning into a club legend from that coaching perspective, in my opinion, from the coaching perspective. So I think let's start smacking a bit of credit on his name.
And also remember, he was one of the him and Lee Peacock were the ones who stayed on when, in between the takeover as well. So, I mean, yeah, I agree, Woody. He obviously seems to be a quality coach, but he was one of those who stood by when everyone else left, quite rightly so, because the club was a mess, but he stayed on, and that shows how much he loves the club. And that's why I think you're right. He could probably get snapped up by a bigger club because he's such a quality coach. But I think because of what he did there, if he was going to leave, that would have been his ideal opportunity, but he didn't. So I think he would stay.
He sort of breaks the mold, doesn't he? Because you normally find like you get a manager that takes their coaching staff with them, don't they? But Mildenhall's just been there. It's like a new manager turns up and they're like, oh, we don't need to bring a goalie coach in. We got Mildenhall. Do you know what I mean? It's really strange.
And he brings so much more to his game as well. You see it so often. Like he's the one that's explaining the tactics to the subs, and
he
all
does
of
all
that
the set pieces side of it. He looks like you when you listen, and it is a great. Oh wow,
Fyfie, get him on the pod. Have a chat with him.
Yeah,
but there are so many people. So many people I would love to get on Fools Rush In, and in the off chance that he's watching this or someone that knows him is watching this, please do extend again the invite. We would love to have him on Fools Rush In.
Yeah.
If they are watching this, I need to stop calling players and coaches bellends, don't I? Probably should do. It's all for comedy effect.
Sorry, Craig, I jumped in on your point as well.
Oh, no, that's all right, mate. Well, I jumped in onto somebody else's point, I think, as well. So, no, I was just going back to what Nick was saying. Nick was spot on about the goalkeeper being a crucial role. But it makes you think, why did we need to bring Solbrin in, to be fair? Because I know we're going over old ground, what ifs and stuff like that. But Garth was spot on. We had a quality number one in Ward, and I don't care what anyone else says, he was decent with the ball at his feet. He the few games that he played last season,
was he Craig? Was he good?
Well, let's be honest. Bryn's not brilliant with his feet.
That's what I don't understand. And that's why
he can't distribute long, Bryn. He can't distribute long. He can only play. I mean, but playing the ball at your feet and playing it 6 yards to your centre back, that's not good with your feet. That's just basic football.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised at the amount of keepers that can't do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I agree. But I don't think Ward was that bad.
Yeah, Ward.
I don't think Ward was bad, but I think Bryn was a lot. I think Bryn's a lot better.
But I think Ward had improved last season, and because we didn't play too dissimilar last season from out the back, and it wasn't an issue. I think Ward made one mistake, and it wasn't through his feet, but it just makes you think. I don't buy the bullshit, and I said this in our chat. I don't buy the bullshit at the beginning of the season when Lindsay was saying who's going to be number one. Is it Ward? Is it is it Bryn? And he said, well, it's going to be Bryn, but just not because he's on loan with us, but because he had more to do and he had more saves and we could see more of what he was capable of. That's bollocks.
It's bollocks.
Bryn was
Middlesbrough.
Yeah, Bryn was brought in because they needed him to play, and that's why Wardy decided to fuck off. Quite rightly so. But it makes you think: why did we didn't need to bring him in? It's such a crucial role, and now we've got the danger of him being called back, and then we'd be really screwed trying to get a goalkeeper in for the rest of the season.
You've said it many times. When you get a player on loan from a higher club, especially a goalkeeper, there's no benefit to them being sat anywhere on the bench because they're not going to get minutes. They're going to be, you know what I mean? There's nowhere.
So it goes back. And I don't want Dean McKelly to be the scapegoat here, but it just goes back to him. Why did we have to bring Bryn in? As good as he's been, and don't get me wrong, I think he's a quality keeper, but it seemed like just such an unnecessary thing to do in the first place, where we've seen it so many times when we've been screwed with loan players being recalled back to their parent clubs. It just seemed completely unnecessary to me.
Just very quickly before I let Nick say his point, because I know he's got a very good point to make. I just want to clarify on Steve's comment there. Fyfie's cat replaced by Fyfie's brackets, I think, mum. Yes, that is my mum before any unwarranted rumours begin. Carry on, Nick.
No, all I was going to say, at the end of last season, Ward was our number one keeper, and he was far better through those last half dozen games and got us into the playoffs with his performances. So yeah, I agree with Craig. We could have kept with Ward as the number one, but once you sign a keeper from a higher league club, he is going to play. They're sending him out to play first team football. Simple. And there's no way you send a keeper out to sit on the bench because he can do that at his parent club. Simple as that.
Wardy wasn't looked after very well.
No, he wasn't.
That's how you get the impression. He was always brought in as a second fiddle. I'm sorry, that's what it was. He was brought in second fiddle to Woolacott until Woolacott got injured or went away with Garner. And he was the same. He was treated the same again. So
you feel sorry because he sat there. He patiently waited for Woolacott to drop form or get dropped. Yeah. He stepped in when was needed. We needed to win our last 5 games. He stayed and played brilliantly. He did his bit in the penalty shootout in Port Vale as well. He saved 2 penalties. It wasn't his fault we didn't go to Wembley. And then he just immediately gets dropped. So my heart goes to him, and I wish him every success in his career because he was treated pretty badly.
I don't think he's playing for Sutton, though, is he? That's
no, he's on the bench there.
It's a strange one, the Sutton move, isn't it? Because I'm pretty sure him and his girlfriend had just bought a house in Burton as well. And it's just kind of like, just wonder, like, how did that really come about? Was it really chasing first team football? Or do you reckon he was asked to leave by Swindon to free up some of the wage bill? I just wonder. And it got me thinking as well, like, that's one position we'd never take a punt on in the lower leagues. And I don't know if it's because maybe every goalkeeper in the lower leagues might be a little bit rotund. But I just wonder, like, we take a punt on other positions, you know. Surely there's got to be some, you know, keeper that's really outperforming in kind of the national and the national south and north that we could just actually make a permanent signing. I'm not saying this season. I'm just thinking ahead to next season because we do have a habit of having so many lone goalkeepers, and we always, as Wazza said, we tend to always find somebody who comes in, you know, like a Lee Camp or that what was his name? Plymouth guy, McCormick. Good, arguably good backup keepers. I just wonder whether Sandro's spreadsheet is actually looking at the
mold we always go for, isn't it? That
looking for a Phil Smith.
Yeah,
Phil Smith. Yeah, good, reliable number 2, Phil Smith.
Yeah.
Fyfie, put that comment on about Wardy at Forest Green back up.
That one there?
Yeah. He cost me 80 quid in that game because I had a bet on it. Swindon would win and both teams to score. And he saves the last minute penalty. I was going mental.
Oh,
thanks, Wardy.
Wishing that to go in.
Yeah.
That's why he left. Nick threatened him.
That's why I'm not betting this season. I'm fed up with it.
Nasty Nick.
If we can move on then, and I said we would dedicate a certain element of time to just talking about the man of the hour. Obviously, all the talk online is about Charlie's return. We've kind of spoken about, so some people have tried to claim that 33, he can't move anymore. But other than that, what we're hoping and expecting. Sorry, mate?
I can't move at 30.
Oh, but that reminds me, I meant to ask you off camera how 6-a-side was the other day.
Yeah, it hurt. I thought I was going to die 15 minutes in. I was thinking, why have I done this?
You're not going on strike now, are you, Wazza?
No, we don't strike, Craig.
Just before I continue with the point I was going to make, welcome Steve, who says, first time in this chat. Do the panel think the town will change their approach with Charlie in attack tomorrow? I think we will try and score, I think is the unanimous answer to that question. We will try. Whether we will or not is yet to be seen. But
we won't just enter the box.
It's not all about transitions and entries anymore.
Oh, it is. We like a transition.
Wazza loves a transition, and I think it's Craig who really likes.
Some of you like an entry.
Yeah, we like a box penetration, don't we, Craig?
Don't say penetration. You know what that does to me, Wazza?
But in all seriousness,
through the middle thirds.
In all seriousness, Steve, welcome first and foremost. And yes, when we were discussing the Grimsby game at the beginning of the show,
still not here now. After all that,
Steve has left the chat.
Oh, sorry.
we've all predicted goals tomorrow. That's for sure. No one's predicted us to get 0 when we did our score predictions. That's first and foremost. I hope that answers the question. And please send many more our way now that you've found us, because we love nothing more than seeing the comments from everyone in the chat and responding accordingly. So going back then on the subject of Charlie Austin, we've said that it's a different stage of his career than when he last played. We understand that. We appreciate that. But let's just take a trip down memory lane. And Ben, I'll start with you if I can. If I was to Wembley aside, let's not, let's talk happy things. If I was to ask you if I said Charlie Austin, what comes into your mind? Is there any performances or goals that instantly spring to mind for you?
Leeds United, the 2 Leeds games. I think of Charlie. I think of that. I think of his partnership with Billy Painter. I just think Charlie Austin in his first spell at the club is my second favourite striker of all time. Watching him in like my 30 years of going to the county ground, he is my second favourite striker that I have seen. I think he's a player. He's got a bit of a bulldog spirit. I think he's probably quite suited to this league because he's a bit naughty as well. He knows the dark arts. He knows the dark side and how to play it. And he's tenacious and he loves to get stuck in and he loves being centre of attention. I think that could work well for him in this league because he's going to be the centre of attention here and he's going to be the point of attack for most defences. So they're going to try and kick the living shit out of him. And I think he's going to ride that and I think he's going to kick back. I'm just excited. But yeah, to think back of Austin, his early days, of just wondering who this non-league kid was, rolling my eyes that we're starting him against Carlisle and what we're doing with this non-league kid. And then just immediately falling in love with him after he gets that goal after 3 minutes, and then his career just taking off. And such a good striker, such a quality. And you knew watching him that he was destined for bigger things. He was going to be destined to the top, very top level, and he just got better and better and better. And when he left us, we were near bottom of the league, and he still scored 17 goals. So I understand why he wanted to leave, because if we were near the top of the league, he would have scored 30 by Christmas. So, he was just too good at the time. And I think he wants to play for us. He wants to be here, which is a huge factor. I think there's a lot of people who green-eyed monsters in League Two who do comment, who say that he's past it, say that he's just here to collect a wage. They say that he is disruptive. They say, some people are saying Jamal Matt's amazing signing. I don't think they appreciate that this is quite a big thing for Charlie as well. And this is something that he wants to do. And he wants to finish his career here, which means we need to get promoted. But
John has very kindly sent me a 5-question basic Charlie Austin quiz. So I've got a question for each of you. But just before that, I'm leaving Gav's comment up just so Craig can recognise who has said hello. And I have to say, because I don't think we've met like this since the picture where he put his face over everyone in the photo from Bradford. Absolutely superb banter on his part. Everything you got there, Craig.
Yeah, no, he played me well there, to be fair. Probably as well as he does on an 18-hole golf course, I'm guessing. But yeah, no, fair play.
He out-Craig Craig, which is really
He did out-Craig Craig.
Yeah, he did, to be fair, yeah.
So, Ben, your question, as you've already touched on the subject, I presume you'll know the answer to your Charlie Austin question quite easily. But who did he score against on his full debut in an away fixture?
Carlisle, mentioned after 3 minutes, 1-0.
Lovely. Well done. Nick, if I said to you, Charlie Austin, what memories come to mind for you?
Southampton away. Fully packed away end, going through, put the ball one side of the keeper, went round the other side, slotted it in, Pelé-esque. Just absolutely brilliant. 1-0 victory. We probably got battered by them on the day, but we won that game, and it was just brilliant coming away from the ground. Absolutely brilliant.
No, absolutely agree, mate. Well, as you mentioned, Southampton, here's your question. When coming off the bench for his debut for Southampton, Austin scored a late winner, but who was that against?
God, to be honest, I've got no idea. I'll guess Man United.
It was Man United.
Yeah!
Yeah, well done, Nick.
I should have said I knew that. It was Man United. Cut that first bit out.
Let's go with Woody next. Any particular goals or games?
Well, the Leeds were home and away, I think, if I remember rightly. He scored because I was at both of those games.
Yep.
I do remember the Southampton one. I actually not forgot necessarily, but I didn't think of that one straight away. But Nick's brought back a loving memory there. Yeah, I mean, Charlie Austin, had it not been for Sam Parkin being in my life, Charlie Austin probably would be up there with one of my favourite strikers I've seen wear a Swindon shirt. And I'm going to say that I've seen wear a Swindon shirt, by the way, because I know there'll be some people on there will go, I don't know, Fuel Tofton and Craig Maskell and all this shit. So yeah, I mean,
different era, Woody.
I just think that arguably since Sam Parkin, Austin's probably the closest we've got to Sam Parkin. Just kind of, I obviously scored some lovely goals, as Nick just so well described, but I just remember, I think it was Southampton at home, that kind of deflected shot, that kind of, it was just a fox in the box style shot, which you don't see too many foxes in the boxes nowadays. And I think Charlie's probably one of those last dying breeds that we can still rely on for that. And I still stand by it. People laugh at me all the time. If it wasn't for his injury record, he would have had a lot more game time with. He would have had game time with England. It was his injuries that stopped him, I think. But yeah, so yeah, looking forward to it.
And you actually link in nicely for a question for yourself as well, then, which I'll just load back up here. Which England manager called Austin up in the summer of 2015?
It wasn't Hodgson, was it?
It was indeed Hodgson, correct.
Roy.
Boy.
Roy the boy.
Wazza, your turn. Talk to us about Charlie.
Nick pinched it. That moment was my favourite Charlie Austin moment.
Yeah.
My best friend is a massive Southampton fan, and I just remember taking so much shit off him all day, going that we were going to get battered by them. And they had Oxlade-Chamberlain playing, and they were just unbelievable. They absolutely hammered us the whole game.
They did.
I just remember Charlie just getting one chance, and he just took it. And like Nick said, it was just the arrogance, but how good it was that he was through on goal. And instead of just trying to slot it, he thought, nah, I'm going to knock it round the keeper one way. Like Nick said, run round the other way. And he just tapped it into an empty net. And it wasn't just any keeper. It was Calvin Davis as well. Do you know what I mean? And a proper experienced keeper. And he just absolutely mugged him off. And he just ran all over to the Swindon fans. And I remember being in the ground and I could see my mate because he wasn't far away in the Southampton end. And I could just see his hands on his head. And we were just going mental. And it was just such a moment. And yeah, massive win as well.
Massive indeed. Let's offer you this question. Following on from Ben's. So we've already got that he scored away to Carlisle. But then who did he score in the following game in his home debut?
Ooh. I couldn't even, mate. I don't remember.
Does anyone want to jump in? Does anyone remember his first home goal?
I don't actually.
No? I won't read out yet in case anyone in the chat remembers. Joe asked, where are all the FRI team in the stands tomorrow? So I've already replied saying that Ben, Woody, Ned and Fyfie are all in the DRS. Rich is also in the DR, and Nick is, Nick's just staring at us all from across the way as he'll be in the Arkles.
I'm in the Arkles as well tomorrow.
Wazza's in the Arkles as well. There we go.
See you there, Waz.
See you there, mate. See you in the Legends, mate. Quick beer.
Yeah, I was going to say, are we all meeting up in the Legends tomorrow? I should wait till after the chat for them.
Yeah. Maybe let's do that.
Yeah, do that. I'll shut up.
What Ben meant was if any of our loving, adoring fans would like to join the Fools for a drink tomorrow, you're buying, then
there's a chance we'll be in the Legends.
There's a chance we'll be in the Legends.
But please drink responsibly.
In the Legends Lounge tomorrow.
Please drink responsibly.
Yeah, we didn't want the thousands turning up in the Legends because we're all in there.
Especially as it might be
just how the doorman, Woody and Woz should be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Get in. Make sure Ned knows.
Craig, Charlie Austin.
Yeah, I mean, mine would be the Leeds game at home because that was like part of a birthday present that Vicky got me, and Leeds were kind of my second team. My dad's from Leeds, and I was kind of brought up as a Leeds fan, but Swindon have always been my sort of first club, so it was quite good to go. But I remember watching that game, and obviously Leeds were in contention for the title, weren't they? Even at that early stage, and
they were clear, I think. I remember.
Yeah, and that was one hell of a Leeds team as well. That was they had some really good players, Jermaine Beckford, players like that. They had some really good players who went on to do well in the Championship, But we beat them, we smashed them, we outplayed them, and I thought, when you get that, when you see that performance, and you think this could happen. We're good enough to go up. We could go up, and it was just a travesty that we didn't go up in the end. Yeah. That team was good enough to go up. So that sort of feeling, and with Austin scoring and everything, seeing him in that game, that's one of my memories about him. But it's just also the story of him coming up from the non-leagues and everything. He obviously started off at Reading. Didn't transpire for him, went down, and he obviously carried on working with his dad as a builder and everything, so he's got that sort of grounded sort of mentality, isn't he? Even when he was earning like tens of thousands at Southampton and QPR and everything else, he's sort of quite well grounded. And anyone who's met him, I met him at the Legends game earlier on in the season. He had his photo taken with my youngest. He's just such a nice guy and very sort of down to earth to talk to. So I just think that whole story, and let's remember how most of our fans were going on when we've signed this kid from Poole. People, we bought shit, and all this and everything. Not forgetting that some of the best players that England have produced have come from non-league. Stuart Pearce, Ian Wright, and people like
Jamie
that.
Vardy.
Sorry.
Jamie Vardy.
Jamie Vardy. Well,
Jamie Vardy.
So
Chris Smalling.
But there was a similar sort of there was a skepticism with us bringing in Charlie Austin, even though he was banging in the goals at a much lower level. So that's kind of what, sort of remembering that, and then him just carrying on as if stepping up to the third tier of professional football was like it was no problem for him at all. So that's my sort of main memories of Charlie, and I'm just chuffed to bits that he's come back. I think we're exceptionally lucky as a club and a fan base to have a player like him come back to us, even in his more immobile years.
Do you know what you'll be even more chuffed with?
What?
The question that's been left for you.
No, probably not.
So let's just clarify. So Ben got his debut goal. Nick got his debut Southampton goal. Woody got about his international honours. Wazza got about a home debut goal. Your question, Craig, is what is Austin's golf handicap at Ogbourne Downs?
Oh, I know that.
Let's see if your answer matches what I've been sent.
I don't know much about fucking golf. I know that minus is good, isn't it? I think.
Just say a number.
I don't know. I'm going to say, I don't know, -8.
Was there?
Hang on a minute. I'm cheating. I'm a member of Osborne.
I'm going to say 4.
I think you might be right, Ben. I think you might be right.
Well,
4.
I think he's a stroke lower. I think he's handicap 3.
Oh,
3.
Well,
good player.
Now I'm going to go on record here and saying that every time John's been questioned, he's been fact-checked to be accurate, but the answer he's given me to what's Austin's golf handicap at Ogbourne Downs says 10.2.
10.2.
Wow.
So I'll let you argue with him, Wazza.
Wow, I thought he was better than that.
He's playing it, isn't he?
Yeah.
I guess -8 Tiger Woods isn't as good as that. I'm guessing. I don't know. I don't know
Actually-
all about golf.
It's actually a typo. It's 1.2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, fair play.
Nice little comment from Jamie there. I heard there's this Pittman fella scoring quite a few in non-league. Could be worth a look.
By eating Pele.
So last question then. Last question on Charlie is what is the in your personal opinion, what is the dream situation? He comes in as this sort of, I'm looking for a real over the top phrase, sort of a demigod, and saves our season and scores the goals to put us to promotion, or he scores enough goals that we qualify for the playoffs and puts the Wembley nightmare to bed by scoring the winner. Who is saying which, Craig?
Oh, definitely the first one. I can't go through a playoff campaign again, whether it's semis or final. My dream scenario is he bangs 20 goals for the rest of the season, gets us up.
Don't want a lot, do you, Craig?
You said
Scores a goal a game.
You said dream, didn't you? You know, so that's
Doyle did it.
isn't it? You
Doyle
know?
did it.
Yeah. And then he signs a 2-year extension and we get back-to-back promotions into the championship. That's my dream. And he's the main reason for it.
Wazza?
Oh,
See, the thing is, Wazza loves a hospitality day out at Wembley, doesn't he? So
yeah, I do. No, never been hospitality at Wembley, but it could be an idea, couldn't it?
Private box was.
Fools rush in. Yeah, well, come on, Nick. We can make it happen.
Yeah, yeah.
between Wazza, Nick, and Rich, we'll get a box at Wembley.
Yeah.
Make it happen. Yeah, I'd love to say that he's going to score us a load of goals, and as long as he gets us into the playoffs, I just think that is, and I know the playoffs are a lottery, but I don't want to say the top 3 are out of reach, but I think it's going to be very difficult. We've got to have a massive turn in form, and he's got to be striking straight away. I think it could take him a few games. I honestly do, and to hit the ground running, I think he just needs that time to get back in, bit of match sharpness, and to get ready. But look, he's a ledge anyway, and if he can fire us to getting us in the playoffs and hopefully promotion, it's just going to confirm it could be then statue, couldn't it?
Well, yeah, why not? Why not? Ben?
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say he scores enough to get us to Wembley, but by some miracle, we haven't to play Millwall, even though they're in the Championship. And then he bears down on the keeper with about 20 minutes to go. I know, it's a dream. 20 minutes to go. And the keeper trips up over a bobble on the pitch, falls flat on his arse, and Austin just rolls it into an empty net. And Austin goes, as he gives a cheeky wink and a smile as he steps past the keeper and knee slides in front of the baying 45,000 Swindon faithful. They're going absolutely mental.
Ben's picturing old school days where you've rounded the keeper, stopped the ball on the goal line, get on your hands and knees and just knock it in with your head.
He rounds the keeper, gets on his
Before going
hands and
full
knees
Ado
and
Boyor.
smashes it in with his head, and then just flips the keeper the bird and runs off. That's exactly how that happens. And then we go all mental. And Don Rogers passes over the trophy to skipper Austin, and he lifts it up, and we get promoted. And like Wembley's renamed Trollop.
Ben, you look as you said that, it looks as if you've got a halo that's just come up above you.
Yeah, and that's how it's going to end.
Good night, Joe. Rest up. Yes, I'm sure you'll see plenty of us around tomorrow. That's for sure. It's worth mentioning, in case we haven't said it enough, but we're absolutely buzzing that we got to sponsor his away kit this season. So we're absolutely delighted. And I'm personally praying that the curse of Fools Rush In doesn't strike tomorrow. Nick, Are you going that he fires us to the playoffs or fires us to promotion?
I'm going, let's be optimistic. Fires us to promotion. He, as it's already been said from training sessions, as I talked about earlier, that he's raised it to another level. Now, if he can do that in training, what's he going to do on the pitch? How is he? He's going to drag those players with him. He's going to drag the crowd with him. County ground is going to be buzzing, and we should be getting back to the fortress that used to be the county ground. Hardly anybody beat us at home. So if he can do that, we will be in the top 3. Northampton, I think they're going to be on a bit of a wobble, and I can see us catching them. So that's where I see it going. Charlie will push us on. Stop shaking your head, Craig. He will push us on. We've got half a season to go. Lots of points to play for. And it's there for the taking. And we've got the ideal opportunity to go for it. If we get 10, 11, 12K in the county ground for the rest of the season in those home games and get back to how it used to be rocking, that's what we need. Get the town end filled, get them going, get the atmosphere, and we are there. Come on, Charlie boy, get us up that bloody league. Get us out of this crap League 2. Get us into League 1. We are on our way. Believe me, it's going to happen. And I've only had one bottle of wine tonight, but it's going to happen.
I always feel when Nick does these talks that he should have a national flag behind him and a podium.
Look,
Nick,
I've got my flag. The flag's there.
Nick, by the way, I do agree with you. I wasn't shaking my head at you. My lad was just crawling on the floor.
I was going to say, Craig's had more activity behind him tonight than I have.
Sorry, I was distracted. I agree everything with what you said, mate. I could never disagree with that, mate.
Cheers,
69 points still to play for. 69 points.
Yeah.
Of course you would know that, then.
69 will win the league.
69. What a figure. 69.
Can we all calm down, please, and let Woody have his say?
I don't know how to follow on from Nick and Ben. I was like, Ben's gone. I don't know where he's gone, which fucking dreamland he's gone to. Bloody Millwall and all that in the playoffs, and Swindon scoring at Wembley. And then Nick, I thought, yeah, that sounds really, really realistic. Not impressed with Mark's comment, by the way. Charlie Austin keeps us in the top 12, whatever, top half of the table. I just want to make, before we go on to what Charlie Austin, what I dream he's going to do, right? We are now roughly the teams that have only got one game in hand of us, right? Apparently, and this is, I'm just collecting all the negative comments. Our squad wasn't good enough. Our manager wasn't good enough. The recruitment's not good enough. We're playing shit. We're 8th in the table. That's when we're playing shit. Our squad isn't good enough. Our manager wasn't good enough. We've now added Charlie Austin. Charlie Austin, players are going to come to Swindon because we've made a signing of intent, as long as Dee McKaylee does his job properly. So for me, I don't think the top 3 is out of reach. I think we need to recruit to get into the top 3. I don't think it's out of reach. That's my dream scenario. I don't want the fucking playoffs. I've done hospitality at Wembley. It ain't all that. It's better at Reading.
All right, Rich. All right, Rich.
And yeah, so let's just be that fucking club that rise up. We're going to sign some decent players, starting with Tomlinson after Peterborough have signed that left back. We're going to start with Tomlinson. We're going to beat Grimsby 2-1 tomorrow, and then we're going to sign a load of players next week, bring in fucking Chris Hughton because we all think he's written off the books now, and then we're going to finish in the top 3.
Oh, Chris Hughton. Yes. What a guy.
I mean, I could not think of a better way to end tonight's episode. I hope you've all enjoyed Austin Eve, as apparently we're now going to call this episode. We look forward to seeing plenty of you tomorrow at the game. Let's all get behind Charlie, get behind the whole team, and let's bring home 3 points from myself, from Woody, from Nick, from Ben, Wazza, and Craig. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. As always, we really do appreciate it. We'll see you at the CG tomorrow, and we'll be back live on Monday. Oh, no, 2 bits of admin before I go. While Woody continues to kiss the crowd goodbye, you can do additional kisses. If you haven't done so yet and you are eligible to, please do vote in the Trust's vote. Your say matters. There's been plenty of content. You know, they featured on OSC, Low Strangers. They did a bit with the ADVA as well, and BBC Radio and everywhere else. But you've still got to, I think it's open till 10 a.m. tomorrow or 10 p.m. tomorrow.
10 p.m.
10 p.m. tomorrow. There's still plenty of time to catch up. If you've got any questions, you can fire them through to the people involved. They'll be happy to answer. Make sure you have your say. And we've had, or I've received a few ideas from people, which I love getting ideas from you guys, because it means that you're invested in what we're doing, about people you'd like to see us talk to, who you'd like to invite on to FRI. We're hoping 2023, if it pans out anything like we've envisaged, is going to be a really, really good calendar year for FRI. Please continue to send through your ideas, and we hope to start announcing some guests and maybe even some other stuff very, very soon. But no, please do keep sending us your ideas and anyone else you'd like us to speak to on FRI, because we like having the guests on. Woody gets a night off because he never turns up for guests, and but the rest of us really like talking to them. But no, apart from that, let's try this again. From everyone involved at FRI, we'll see you at the CG tomorrow. Good night.
Take my hand, take my whole life too, but I can't help falling in love with